My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast.
Oh my God, it's the most bittersweet moment of the whole season. It's the grand final.
We have been waiting for this moment, literally waiting for this moment for a very long time.
It's I realised with all the amazing Game of Thrones references that were thrown in, well, that was a bit outdated.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean...
We already had that finale. Sorry, everyone.
I mean...
we're struggling to breathe here.
There will still be some coughing, yes.
Mostly from the excitement of tonight and just the sheer raw emotion that's been churning through our veins, like the glitter that churns through Dan's hands as he bedecks his cakes.
100%. That and some smoke, but mostly the emotion of the moment. Now we have been waiting for this moment since, well, look, I won't lie, since June of 2018, 14th to be precise. Anyway, it's like we were saying all the way along, and we had a couple of people online who kept on saying to us, oh no, you sure? Surely this can't have been that long ago. They wouldn't have waited that long ago, and they just kept on saying, you'll have to trust us.
And I just have to say, commendations to everyone who came along on the day to watch the filming, because there were no spoilers. Like, how fucking good are Bakeoff audiences?
Everyone kept absolutely stum. Well done, everyone, on that one. I mean, NDAs help. But
still, there's still times when
things leak.
TV shows have things leak, and... Bakeoff audience is like, no, we're not going to spoil that magic for you.
How you end up having a show go that long after production and nobody leaks the ending is incredible. So well done everybody out there on that. So speaking of the ending, to talk about the ending, when to go back to the beginning of the end?
This is the end. Oh no,
that was the other week when you were sad. Anyway,
I'm happy tonight. Bring it on. Happiness.
The grand final opens and they do a montage of all the bake. And look, to be honest with you, it was wonderful seeing everyone again. But I was living for Dennis talking about his erections.
Aren't we all? I really hope that he's at least got an endorsement for Viagra out of this.
Hopefully in the next week or so we can ask him, but we'll work that out anyway. So they all got in and we were ready to go for the grand final, and we start with the signature. And the signature is a dobostot.
Yes, which I believe is the favourite of the Hungarian horntails. There you go, Potter fans.
Hungarian sponge cake. It's multi-tiered chocolate buttercream and topped with caramel. Can be any flavour or shape, but you must have 7 layers. And I'm
6, not enough. 8, 1 too many. 2 tiers of 7. I'm like, Dan, why don't you just go 7 tiers of 7?
That would have been insane. He would have also tried it, but it was really weird because, with the
torte to heaven,
with the cake, right? Everyone else made the decision to go 1 lot of 7 because timing. You had 3.5 hours to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're only thin sponges, they're really thin, but there's so much else to do around it.
Yeah, you got to make fans like a Dyson. Pop on yours if you're David. He's like, I want something efficient, like me.
Exactly.
I'll pop Dyson on top.
Now, they did the on your marks, I said bake, and Matt and Maggie looked a lot happier for not having to announce it.
Yes. Like not having to do the full...
Now, they did it in the last... They did it in the last challenge.
Right, yeah.
They did it in the last challenge, but they didn't do it for the rest of it. And you could just see when Mel and Claire, and again, a now revitalised Claire Hooper, obviously, because she's been not well... When they did the on your mark, just set bake, you could just see that, Matt and Maggie were smiling. I don't think it was because it was grand final. I think it was because they didn't have to do that. Yeah,
like, phew. It's, we're excited, but more excited about not having to say ready, set, bake. So let's get on to the bake.
So, in the bake, the bakers did the usual tricks. So the usual trick is, first of all, everyone complains that it's far too quiet. Oh, Where are all the people?
I know, it's like Don leaves and suddenly... no one's talking. Don was the party.
Indeed.
He took the party with him last week.
I don't know. Something tells me, and as much as we love Don and Don would be the party, something tells me that with Dan in there,
you'd expect
it wasn't that quiet.
No, there at least be like going on as he blows glitter around.
And surely head wobbles make a noise. And boy, were there some head movements tonight. Damn, you were trying some new ones. Highly impressive. Sunny also commented that she'd come as her dress as your bake moment.
Yeah.
And that she was making an orange cake, and she was in orange.
What would you dress as if you could dress as a bake?
Oh God, if I could dress as a bake, what could I come as? Chocolate eclair.
Oh my God, I was going to say the same thing. That is so cool. We'll have to have matching eclair outfits.
Matching eclair outfits, yeah. I mean, I figure it's just easy. It's like slimming. I hear that lines of chocolate are slimming.
I would prefer that my eclair was made out of an actual eclair.
So you could eat it on the day?
Just a large shoe, and I would just snack on myself throughout the day.
Well,
just
we all know
nibble.
you are a bandit for a shoe.
Oh, yeah. Shoe and pastry, just throw it at me, dolls. Bit of cream, bit of chocolate, bit of toffee. I'm there.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, so tell us what bake you'd come dressed as. There you go.
If you want. No one ever responds to our questions, do they?
They do.
Do they?
I bring them up from time.
Me.
I bring them up from time to time.
Ah.
All right, so
You don't tell me. I'm just the co-host, sitting here like stunned mullet, as my mum would say. What am I? Chopped liver? What am like,
who has a conversation where they ridicule chopped liver?
my mother.
Like, and why is chopped liver so active in these conversations?
Well, it's either chopped liver, or if it's so cold, it'll freeze the balls off a brass monkey. Or if it's someone's slow in traffic, what are you waiting for? An engraved invitation from the Queen?
She doesn't engrave invitations to anything.
Well, apparently my
There's
mum...
logic holes all over the place. Your mother has never got an invitation from the Queen.
No. My great aunt did, though. Mum's dad's aunt, sister?
Yeah.
Aunt or something. She turned 100, got the telegram.
Yeah, was it like drop dead? Does the Queen write to people? Does the Queen write to people intimidating them?
At 100 years of age, she's like, we think that the population growth could do without you.
You know...
You've been here far too long in my Commonwealth. Please piss off.
That's enough now. So,
Go forth and meet Jesus, who is my boss.
And hand selected me for the role. Anyway, so Dan had 2 tears, which is a far bigger thing to talk about than the Queen being hand selected by Jesus. So everyone else went 1. Dan goes, it's me, I have to be Italian about this.
Yep.
And went with 2 tiers. Vanilla sponge with raspberry and champagne buttercream alternating in the layers. With a mirror glaze, with toffee and chocolate fan and
Yum.
toasted almonds. So there wasn't a lot happening on Dan's.
No, it was very reserved. I mean, I think if he was... I think that's him restraining, like with restraint.
Thankfully at the end of it, he did look at it, and when they were judging him, he looked at them and went, I've probably gone a bit too far overboard on this one. Because they went, do you think your time management might have suffered a little bit? And he went, possibly.
Maybe. Don't let time get in the way of an awesome bake.
So everyone was just making spares, just in cause. As Sunny seemed to think she was going to fall over and drop the ball. She's obviously been watching The Chef on Sesame Street, 10 strawberry shortcakes and down the stairs. So obviously she was anticipating that was going to happen. Now, to do this, she decided that she needed to bake more, but didn't have any room. So she asked David, she's like, yeah, can I have some room in your oven if you've got time?
And Mr. Efficient's like, yes, I do not need that bench space because my space is perfectly doled out according to my project.
Look, I made a chart. But
it's a pie chart.
There's a PowerPoint on the wall.
Actually made of pie.
There's a PowerPoint on the wall. So you look at the efficiency. But more importantly...
Look at my action plan. It's all colour-coded.
I love the way that he just turned around and said, there'll be a point penalty for that, right? She's like, yeah, sure, I know. So, Sunny was making orange sponge and chocolate French buttercream. The sides had crushed pistachio praline. And look, she had a really good argument about why there was crushed pistachio praline. I like pistachios and I like the colour.
There we go.
Makes sense.
Good enough. Do it.
The fan was tempered chocolate, pistachio nougatine, and orange popping candy. Now, first of all, she didn't tell them. She's like, I've got a surprise for you in the cream, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, which was orange popping candy.
Yeah.
The nougatine thing was fascinating. So she starts rolling it out, looks at the camera and goes, haven't made this before.
No, I saw Dawn make it last week.
But I watched Don do it, and I
now.
thought that'd be cool.
Sure.
Don is an inspiration to the nation.
You know, last week I watched... I played a game called Outer Worlds, and now I think I'm fully qualified to fly a spaceship. I'm going to NASA next week.
You should.
I just saw it, and I'm like...
They'll let you in.
They'll let me in.
So,
I'll go to Mars. It's got less smoke on it.
A lot less smoke.
Yeah, the atmosphere there will be rarefied compared to here.
Can I point something out? Just to, while Kristie hocks up a lung, just to give you an idea about how this is going. Where we are in Miscellaneous City, currently has the worst air quality in almost the entirety of the world.
Jesus Christ.
Except for Wyong on the New South Wales Central Coast, which has the worst.
That's where my mum is.
So, yep.
Oh, no. Haven't heard from her today. I better check out.
So...
You know why? I reckon they're all getting on cones up there.
100%. No one can spot it.
They're going up to the bushfires and just throwing a few wacky tobackies on just to spruce it up. Make it real coast-like.
Don't do drugs, kids. Anyway, we then cut back to David. So David talks about the fact that his fan is not your traditional fan.
No, it's not. It's a Dyson.
It was. It looked like a Dyson.
I like to think that he's there back at the apartment thinking about how a fan, and he's getting a beautiful breeze, and he's like, where's that breeze coming from? And it's just a Dyson in the corner. He goes, you know what? There's a fan. And at first, because he came into the apartment, he was a bit confused. I thought it might have just been a portable kind of futuristic sports ball game. So just throwing a ball through it.
I like the idea that he was sitting in the corner.
That's where he got the ball idea from.
I like that he was sitting in the corner, and while he's sitting in the corner, he's like, what am I going to do for the fan? What am I going to do for the fan? And an ad pops up with that old guy from Dyson going, we've revitalised the fan. And he's like, I've got it. So he made as Kristie called it, a Dyson. Which was
several Dysons. It was like a Dyson in construction.
It was peppermint.
Evolution of Dyson.
It was peppermint glass that he was making.
It's the new inspiration for a Fatboy Slim video clip. Do 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 do.
Oh dear. So it was peppermint glass that he was making, which looked amazing. And Matt and Maggie came over to take a look, and at this point it got weird. So they walk over, and he's like explaining to them, well, this is actually a different thing. This is actually peppermint glass. And Maggie's like, oh my god. He's like, you can smash it if you want. She goes, Rickon. And so they dropped it, and it smashes. And Maggie looks at it. And all you heard was, ooh, you like that. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with Maggie Beer? Dominatrix Maggie has come out.
Yeah, just, what goes on in the Den of Doom.
Den of Iniquity, yeah.
No, she's not the Den of Iniquity, she's got the Den of Doom. Doom Den? Oh, it needs a better name. Maggie, rename your Doom Den to something awesome, because I can't think of anything today.
The Beer Blast Chamber. Anyway, so it sounded wrong.
The Beer Cave.
I like the Beer Blast.
The Beer Blast.
The Beer Bash.
The Beer Bash? That sounds like she's going to go play cricket or something. She's got her own team of people bat with Verjuice bottles.
No, I said the Beer Blast Chamber.
That sounds like she's like auditioning for friggin' that glass blowing show.
She could be.
Blown Away.
She could be.
Oh, that would be awesome. Imagine Maggie Beer on that. all the I'm just going to grasp it tightly and blow now.
So,
whoops, I think I dropped some balls.
So, David. David had a chocolate sponge with buttercream with creme de menthe and peppermint glass. So, in a minute I'll go through the drinking game.
But poor wicked witch out there who's missing a window, trying to entice children, which is essentially what was going on. Like, sorry, we'll get to this part. But at the grand final, right, it was a fucking nightmare for parents, right? There was just sugar in all kinds of forms, including a whole board with nails on it with donuts just hanging off. And by the end of the night, the child height donuts were all gone. But it was just fun to watch because the coffee stand was nearby, and I'm just waiting for my coffee, just watching children like going by playing with something, and then suddenly they see this board, and it's like, light shines down from heaven and angels sing and they start walking towards.
There were a lot of sweets. It was a very It was a very sweet day. I'm tempered by the long wait for coffee. I had a long wait black.
I had a long tea.
You did. So,
No sugar.
So David had the chocolate sponge with the buttercream, creme de menthe, and peppermint glass, topped with peppermint glass, crushed cashews, and a peppermint praline. Chris said, so far we've had creme de menthe.
Creme de menthe.
And obviously we've had the creme de menthe and we've had champagne.
That really is the drink of old ladies, isn't it? Like, he's like, what will Maggie B drink at home?
Kind of, it's a very,
and she's not sculling verjuice.
It feels like a very mid-British thing.
Like early 1970s, you know.
You're going to a working man's club in, like, the UK and you're having creme de menthe.
It's like, what you'll have, Deirdre? Oh, I think I'll have a creme de menthe, thank you.
Perfect, exactly. Not having a shandy then, love. Oh, anyway.
No, I'm being all fancy like. I saw this in a magazine, I did.
Now,
Princess Margaret was having one.
David had his cake done first, and Dan was icing and pulling just some strange faces. It was really... He had some weird faces going on. He had head tilts. He had weird facial expressions.
Well, it's because he knew he was going back out into the real world where he'd have to go back to influencing and science, but mostly influencing, so he was getting his facial muscles back and ready. You know? Like,
I wonder if he can influence science the same way that he influences on Instagram, like posing next to, like, atoms and stuff.
Just him lying on the head. Look, shirt, like a shirtless top of him, like topless shot of him. Yeah. Dan, topless, guns out near the Hadron Collider. Like, science is sexy.
No, I know the answer to the question. I know what we need. Dan, what I need is I need you to do
you at Questacon. Just on
I don't even care that this is not your area of science. I want you to do a lot of work on climate. And then I want you to do, like, a report, and I want you to pose topless with the report. Because then people will pay attention to the climate report, and maybe the smoke will stop. Anyway, David was then working with his peppermint praline, and he's like, oh, it's a little bit hot. At which point he touched it.
It's a little bit hot. Let me just test my theory.
It's a little bit hot. He touched it, and all you saw was David go, oh, fuck.
Tell him he's not the scientist.
And then he went, it's a lot hot. It always reminds me of the joke of, the guy in the factory going, I just lost a finger. Well, how'd you lose the finger? Well, what I did was I put it in this machine like this, and oh, God, I just lost another one. It was very much like that. Now, they started pouring their mirror glazes over the top, and Dan's was really thin. It looked more like it was the vinaigrette.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him because they said when they did the judging, you could see the cream coming through the side of the mirror glaze because it was really thin.
It's a bit of leakage. No one likes a bit of leakage. Leo doesn't like leakage.
No, you can hear it. He doesn't like it at all.
He's vocally protesting against leakage.
100%. That's all he ever protests about. Now, as usual, Dan did finish with a flourish. So they're getting 5 and Bakers. That's it. Time is up. And as they do that, you see Dan goes...
and just a little bit of Dan dust.
All over. And then they go over for the big hugs. And they go over and they have the hugs. And David looks at him and just goes, let me guess, glitter? And Dan just looks at him and goes, always.
I just like to think at the end of each day at work, the boss is like, oh, has anyone got their weekly reports? And Dan walks up, hands his report over and just glitters it. Like
that could be cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how glitter goes in a lab.
Oh, totally good.
Sterile lab with glitter everywhere.
Yeah, it's all the rage down at the CDC.
Perfect. So judging. So Maggie loved the fan on David's. It looked amazing, especially when David told them you could pass the ball through the fan, which they did. Matt loved as well that you could see the sponge was clearly defined. Maggie loved the crunch of the glass inside as well, because he put some of it inside, so the crunch, she said, balanced really well. Yeah. The flavours were absolutely brilliant. Dan, Matt just looked at him and goes, this looks like you. It's over the top. It's a bit of finesse, but also rustic around the edges. Probably a good way to sum him up.
Yeah. He said it reminded him of Roman times. Those big bronze forts that the Romans built, full of glitter.
Exactly.
Hail Caesar.
Well, Caesar did carry the glitter bomb as a weapon, so...
See, out of everyone using glitter, I thought that would be Nero.
Yeah. No, I mean...
With his latest, play, starring himself, written by himself.
About himself. With the audience of himself. So, the layers look great for Dan. The flavours were good. The vanilla and raspberry was a great combination. Maggie reminded Dan that he needs to contain himself. She's like, look, we really love what you do, but you do too much. Can I just suggest to you for the rest of this grand final...
Yeah.
Back it off a little bit?
Take it down from Flora 10 to Flora 3.
Yeah, exactly.
At least to Flora 3.
Yes, exactly.
On the Flora scale of too much.
Yeah, the Flora scale of baking extra goods.
Yes.
Sunny, they said it looked a little bit Aztec with the sun dial in the middle. Matt liked...
Those Hungarian Aztecs.
Those
big
Hungarian
fan
Aztecs,
of it.
massive. They said said he liked the alternating fan. And then they pointed at Sunny, what did you do to your wrist? And she's like, I was stirring too hard. And I may possibly have sprained my wrist. And Matt goes, I was hoping it was going to be some good story like you're taking out the other contestants.
Yeah, save that powder though, Matt, because, keep that powder dry for Bakeoff Throwdown.
Yes, exactly. Bakeoff Throwdown. Great.
3 bakers enter. 3 also exit because it's not that kind of throwdown.
No. They just throw all their stuff down and go, let's go home. And they'll go home.
Yeah.
Layers were clear. The orange was great. The balance was really good. Matt walked off saying that his mouth was still popping. And Maggie walked off saying, I was going to have more of that. So they did really well, which gets us to the technical.
Yes.
Now, the technical was...
Mont Blanc.
Yes, it was Mont Blanc. So the advice was, it was a mountain, not a molehill. Patience and a steady hand.
See, whenever I hear Mont Blanc, I think of this very young lawyer. When I was a legal secretary about 20 years ago, I was very young and very goth. And there was this new, fresh to the firm lawyer who was a bit of a wanker, to be quite honest. And, I know, so unusual in a lawyer. And he came up to me, all businesslike, on the first day. He goes, I need you to go down the road and get me some refills for my Mont Blanc pen. I'm like, this is totally a graduation gift from your parents. And you've just been signing your name and run out of ink for when you actually need to fucking use it.
See, this was where they said, Sunny turned around to Dan and went, have you ever made one of these? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
And then she goes, I've got a pen.
There we go.
So...
But your Sonny's not, a wanker and, struts up to young receptionists and go, I need you to run down the road and get me some refills for my Mont Blanc pen. So I had to go to the Mont Blanc shop. Get Mont Blanc refills for his Mont Blanc pen.
So, a Mont Blanc is pureed sweetened chestnuts filled with chocolate mousse whipped cream.
It's essentially Mount White.
It is. They had 3 hours to make it, and I did love as well. The today was one of my favourite Matt and Maggie ones too, especially in the light of our podcast with Nicole the other day, where they said, "Now that Matt and Maggie have left, find the Allen key that disassembles the shed." Closer to true than they knew. Well, they obviously knew, but anyway.
I'm looking forward to the new IKEA Bakeoff range.
I'll be great. So Matt turned around and said there were lots of different techniques in this one, which is why he picked it.
Yeah.
Pastry, caramel, frangipane, mousse, and a caramel crumb.
No squirrel.
Yeah, no squirrel. And they said the caramel crumb needs to be just enough to separate the frangipane from the pastry as well. So it's a really fine layers. But out of all of these issues, the short crust pastry was the problem. So Sunny turns around, and I do need to get into something that's slightly serious here before we get back to the joy.
Okay.
Sunny goes, I haven't read the whole recipe, but the part where Matt told us how to make short crust was sure left out. And Dan goes, make a short crust? How? Then they both turned around and said, David, how do you make a short crust?
Oh my God.
In the technical. And last week I defended them about help in the technical.
Not at this point.
And that was where Dan offered help. But once or twice this happened. And then David explained to everyone how to make short crust pastry.
That, which to me is a little off at this point in the game. I just feel that there's...
Like, my thing was, last week Dan volunteered information to David without David asking him anything.
Yeah, and this is being asked.
They all turned around and asked him, and then later on...
And that puts him in a really tricky situation.
Yeah, because he wants to help his friends. And then later on, he was always... And he would always have helped them. But then later on, when Dan was worried about his caramel, he walks back over to David's bench again and goes, what do you reckon? Do you think my caramel's burnt? Just how long should I give it? What should I do with it?
Mm.
And so it was just... Again, it doesn't change anything. We're not saying it changed anything.
No.
But it's just interesting that happened in the grand final. We have no problems with assisting. We have no problems with helping. But, again, the technical's supposed to be...
And it's not an unusual skill. It's not like a, like a very...
it's not like when they're making povertits in the Bakeoff.
Yeah, like something that you probably never heard of, never seen before. Okay, you might not have seen or heard of a Mont Blanc before, but you would know how to make a mousse, use short crust pastry, like basic skills. So...
I was a bit staggered that they got to Bakeoff and hadn't made a short crust.
Mm.
I would have thought that would have been something you would have made. Simply a comment, not a bashing of people, simply a comment.
No, because, all three bakers in there are extremely deserving. They're all skilled and very talented.
And David was talking about the pressures of sort of this bit, and he's talking about, you don't want to put something out there and Matt just looks at you and goes, "Nuh, get out." And I want to know... what bake would make Matt Moran point to the door?
If you fucked up the lamb Wellington, you screw that lamb Wellington. Like, if you, disrespect the lamb, if you are causing offence to the gods that they sacrifice to on that lamb farm, then really, you will be sent out the door. Then you'll be picked up by the wicker lamb and sent to be executed.
It's really the only way it could end.
Yeah.
So then Sunny, Mel and Claire were having a conversation about... Sunny was whipping up, was whipping up her cream. Yeah. And they asked her to whip it to a soft peak. And they were like, "Is that the right level?" And she goes, "I'm going to stop it there." And they go, "What do you mean? Look, that's not stiff." But then she goes, "It's soft, not stiff. It's going to be soft peaks, not stiff peaks."
Yeah.
At which point we got the wonderful moment of Claire going, "This is a soft peak," and they were going, "This is a stiff peak," and giving her the death stare.
Which I felt was peak Mel and Claire.
It was peak Mel and Claire.
Yes.
Now...
It's like Edmund Hillary just planted a flag. Oh no, he went to Antarctica.
No, you had that right.
He went up Everest?
You had that right.
Oh my God. I got a right name?
Yeah.
I didn't rename him. His name's not like, Edward Scissorhands or something.
I like the idea of Edward Scissorhands scaling Everest, like using the Scissorhands. Didn't need climbing apparatus, just kink, kink,
yep.
kink, kink, kink.
And he gets to the top and then makes ice sculptures out of the glaciers.
Makes another Everest at the top.
Yes, an Everest ice sculpture on Everest.
An Everest on Everest.
Creating a new Everest peak, pissing off a whole bunch of people.
And meaning he has to climb a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So, David, after all of his assisting everybody else, you knew it was going to happen. David pulls his out and he goes, "Oh, these puffed up a bit too much. Oh, well, I can't actually redo them right now, so oh well," and just moved on.
Yeah.
And we do need to talk, the only other thing we need to talk about in this is, there's two things. One, David and Dan used the wheel to pipe, and Sonny was like, "No, my hand's far more sturdy than the wheel is." Which later on, when they judged it, the only thing they criticised Sonny on was her piping and said that it wasn't neat enough.
Well, maybe she was given a dodgy wheel.
Possibly. It did look like the wheel was rocking.
Yeah, because when David and Dan were doing theirs, it didn't seem to have that same.
Yeah, Sonny's had seemed to have a bit more of a wobble to it. But
it looked like a panna cotta.
The other thing we need to talk about...
Maybe you should have piped it on a panna cotta, because that would have just slipped around.
No, don't give that. That'll give MasterChef ideas. Anyway, David finished this challenge with a really great hand action. He finished it up and he gave like a C-grade magician. Ta-da! And
now for my next trick.
Dan had his head movements and David had gestures. And there's one coming up when we get to the showstopper that is next level. And I just want to know, did they do this deliberately? Was this a plan?
Just hands.
Yeah.
Hands across the Bakeoff shed.
Exactly. So the judgment.
Or maybe the head wobble was a secret sign to Dan's partner, you know, like, I love you. Like, every head wobble is how much I'm thinking of you and I love you. So his head's just wobbling most of the time. Whereas David's is like, any grand hand gestures, my love, mean it's a grand gesture to you.
Yeah, it might have been. We'll have to find
or to
out.
Harper, you know.
Yeah,
like,
we'll have to find out.
how adorbs is she?
She's
we'll get
gorgeous.
to her.
We'll get to her. So David's was very neat. It was well piped, but some of the pastry had air under it and that had all popped up. There were also some issues with the firmness of the cream, but then Matt Moran got a look of like a 4-year-old on his face when he bit into it. He's like, but very good eating.
Yes.
Sunny's were a little bit messy, but they said all the elements were absolutely spectacular. And
Yep.
she had thrown extra salt into her salted caramel.
Ooh.
She'd argued that she goes, I don't think it's salty enough. And when they bit into it, they just went, oh, the salt, that's incredible.
So she assaulted the Mont Blanc.
She did, and the extra...
Hers is now called a Salt on Mont Blanc,
Yeah.
starring Sonny.
So the extra...
As Sonny.
So the extra level of salt seemed to do the trick. Dan, they said, was the neatest of all of them. Mm-hmm. Great definition, absolutely fabulous everything, but
Bitter.
the caramel was borderline burnt, and that made it bitter.
Like, very barely. And as I said, they were pulling hairs.
They said to all
Cutting
three.
hairs?
They said to all three, splitting hairs. is what you
Splitting
call it.
hairs.
So they said that this was a really close
Some
run.
kind of verb with hair.
This was a really close run situation, and it's just they had to do a 3-2-1. So David was third, Dan was second, and Sonny was first.
Yeah.
As David pointed out, I came third. Some people would say last, but I say third.
You came first in reverse, as I used to say in trivia. Yep.
And then they were talking about how well everything was going, and the only thing I took from the conversation was where Mel turned around and went, to baking!
She too got into the grand hand gestures.
She really did. So, the showstopper. Geometric cakes.
Yes.
So,
Very Insta-worthy.
Well,
very
it
on trend.
must have a pattern to form an illusion.
year ago.
That was the deal. You had to have a pattern to form an illusion.
They had to use your illusion.
Isha would have been absolutely so proud of them all.
Oh, absolutely. You know, those
David
David Bowie just wandering around on Sonny's, you know, oh
Walking up
my
the
god.
staircase.
All she needed was like the Goblin King and a little baby in red and white stripes.
She
Just-
could have made it labyrinth, yeah.
and then she could have made a crystal ball to go on top.
So they had 4.5 hours to do this challenge.
David Bowie's balls. And there's your episode title.
Yes, we're calling the grand final David
Bowie's
Bowie's balls.
balls. Excellent.
So
That's for you, Gabby.
David made a white chocolate and raspberry mud base, and then a salted caramel mud top 2 layers with white chocolate ganache flavoured with apple cider.
I was there for that.
Who isn't? Now, Sonny and Dan were both going a single type of cake because they said we're not going to go overboard with the number. We're just going to go with the one but get it right.
Yep.
So Dan went with a white chocolate mud with apple and cinnamon, at which point Maggie freaked the hell out and went, remember last time?
This is not the cinnamon challenge. We do not need to Insta-worthy this cake.
As she said,
like
let's go
that.
with teaspoons, not tablespoons. Now, he was also painting the whole thing with edible gold dust because Dan.
Yeah. Like, was there any doubt? And I do remember distinctly being at the window, like at the doors, watching it go on, and there is just a haze.
There was a haze of gold dust.
Of like rose-coloured gold dust just wafting on the breeze.
We'll talk a bit more about that.
Wafting out the door and decorating the parade of people.
We'll talk about that a bit more in a second. So, this is where, because we're going to get to David's hand movement. So David was celebrating his time management because he had his cakes organised already. And the way that he celebrated his time management, I think he was going for like a fist pump and an arm raise, and he got it. And it looked like maybe
A swarm of midges had flown into the Bakeoff
something
shed.
had flown in and attacked him. And he was swatting them away, and he was like, yes! I'm like, because he started doing it, and I'm like, is there a bug?
Yep.
And then, no, it was just
The
his...
baking bug.
It was his celebration dance.
He's maybe because how he became a baker is that he was bitten by the baking bug, and that's the dance he did when he was bitten by the baking bug, and he was just, you know, using it to again celebrate.
I don't know if I'd like to think of
his
the
journey.
I don't know if I'd like to think of the idea that food preparation is the result of an infection.
No, it's less of an infection and more like a Spider-Man.
disease?
No, a Spider-Man style mutation.
Sure, let's go with that. So
Because then you can have the Bake Men or the Bake People to make it less like gender specific like the X-Men. And you have Matt as Professor Xavier. Sans wheelchair. Who do you reckon Maggie would be?
Storm,
Storm, yeah. She's a total Storm.
100%. Especially when she's talking about smashing glass.
Mel's Rogue for sure.
Easy. All right, so Sunny was making the stairway geometric cake. Vanilla and cacao nibs in the sponge. So Terry would have liked that.
Yeah.
Terry loves cacao nibs.
Where's Terry's nibs?
Where's Terry nibs?
9-9.
9-9! That was a cacao nib sponge with caramelised white chocolate and raspberry jam, covered in Swiss meringue, buttercream, and marshmallow fondant. You know what I realised about halfway through seeing the design?
What?
Take the cacao nibs out.
Yeah.
She was basically making lemingtons.
Ooh.
Think about
I'm
it.
down for that though.
Vanilla and cacao nib sponge with caramelised white chocolate and raspberry jam layer.
Yeah, but Lemingtons.
I know it's mock cream, but it's like a version of a lemington.
It's more like a version of a Victoria sponge. Like it's
Sure.
just a cake with a jam.
Sure.
Add some coconut to it, then you got a Lemington.
Yeah, well, I mean, she didn't go with that. She went with marshmallow fondant,
Yeah,
which was much better in my mind.
absolutely. I like desiccated coconut. Makes me think that the coconut is like a little vampire because it's like desiccated. Oh no, I'm thinking of torpor. Yeah, they go desiccated in torpor, don't they? I can't remember my vampire lore.
Anyway,
Back at the Bakeoff show.
David turned around and said, "Oh, it's getting close now. It's getting nice and precarious." And I'm sure at the time he just thought it was a cute thing to say. He didn't know that he was getting far too
Do you
prosthetic for
think
his own good.
vampires could bake? How would they incorporate blood into their bakes? Like they could put it in a jam or a jelly.
Coolie.
A coolie. Soak it. You know, like a drizzle. It's a blood drizzle cake.
You know who to ask.
Who?
Jasmine.
Oh my god, Jasmine, yes.
Right. For those who are listening and don't listen to our Canadian, Jasmine from the Great Canadian Baking Show.
Made a bleeding cake.
First cake she made as a criminology student was one that bled when you cut it.
Yes, it's great. I don't mean a bleeding cake. I mean a bleeding cake.
Actually bleeding, yeah.
Actually bled.
So David said it was being nice and precarious, which I said it was far too pathetic for his own good. Mm-hmm. He thought it was cute. No, it wasn't. Then, the most important event of this happens.
Oh.
We arrive.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. That's the
So-
part we're talking about. The happy part.
So, I'm going to go left field here and come back to the end of the grand final.
Yes.
Um,
To the
I'm going to talk about
bingo.
I'm going to talk. Well, we'll go to the bingo, and
Okay.
we'll go to the bingo. But I'm also going to talk briefly about the morning
Yes.
because it was an interesting morning.
All right, you talk. I'm going to take a little throat rest and not say things like
Smart move.
sand diarrhea and stuff.
Smart move.
All right.
So the
I'm
morning,
reclined, people. I'm comfortable.
the morning of the grand final.
I slept in.
You did. You slept in, and I might have gone to catch up with some bakers that we all might know from the previous season. And we caught up for breakfast, and while we were catching up for breakfast, we were waiting for our illustrious coordinator, my brother from another mother, Robert, to turn up from Perth,
You
except
squee, Robert.
Robert had not followed my advice, which was don't fly tiger.
Yep.
And-
Tigers don't fly, Robert. There's your first mistake.
Well, not that the kangaroos, but anyway, tiger
Yeah, they at least hop.
Tiger-
They're airborne.
cancelled his flight on the morning, so he ended up having to, I think, go and buy a ticket on a Qantas flight to get to Sydney, but didn't make the breakfast that he organised. So everyone else made the breakfast that he organised. By the way, Dave and I had a very good conversation about matcha. And then we got to the grounds just in time to go in for the grand final. At which point Robert turned up, and there was this really funny moment of ridiculously tall Robert up the back and ridiculously short me, middle to the front, and we're sort of waving over people, and I'm sort of Robert like waving, and he's like Chris, and we're sort of making our way to it. It was just this ridiculously funny
It was
scene.
very romantic.
It was.
It was like Billy Crystal and fucking Meg Ryan, or Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Or Russell Crowe and Meg Ryan, or Meg Ryan and Meg Ryan. So let's quickly go through the card. So,
Right.
Baker's helping each other under pressure. Yep, that happened. Drink. Verjuice. Didn't happen. Can't drink. The technical is something they never heard of. I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, I don't think many people would. As Sunny said, it was a pen to her.
Bakeoff podcasters cited in the background.
I was boogieing with Marcus.
I don't know if you all saw Marcus and Kristie having a bit of a dance.
Yep.
There was a bit of a dance, a bit of a bounce going on.
I'm the fat chick with the haircut, like, what's the facey? Dawn French. That was me.
There you go.
So I wear glasses. I'm a bit funnier. I mean, she's got an illustrious career, but come on.
Yeah, she doesn't say felching.
She doesn't say felching on a podcast.
She didn't spend an entire...
a bespoke group of people who are awesome like you.
She didn't spend an entire podcast episode talking about diarrhea sand. Anyway.
I know. She needs to up her game.
Mel and Claire distract a contestant while under the pump. You know what? I'm going to give that. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about Claire in a minute. Matcha didn't happen. Thank you. You've all learnt. I'm so proud of all of you. Booze and a bake, that happened.
Yeah, creme de menthe.
Yuzu didn't happen. A family member of a finalist is more hilarious than expected. Now, the reason I put that down there, it's an ode to Antonio's grandmother.
Oh, isn't she just a fucking Bakeoff legend?
So again, for those who didn't watch that series, Antonio, when he was in the grand final, his grandmother, they were talking about taking Antonio, who was 17 at the time, off for a smoke. And his grandmother's comment was, as long as it's the right brand. She was an absolute scream, that woman. So, to this day forward, every time there's a grand final, you wait to see who's going to be the ultra-funny family member. Instead, we just got really cute.
I know. If we had cutest family member, that would have gone to Harper. Like,
they were all adorable. Everyone's family was bloody adorable.
Yeah, but Harper was cuter.
Harper was cute, though.
Yeah.
So
she's got the kid factor going for her.
We also had Matt and Maggie hitting the piñata.
Although Sunny's mum, she reminds me, like, her in the garden, she just looks like an earth mother. Like, she could play Mother Nature. In fact, I think Sunny's mum is Mother Nature, which is why Sunny is called Sunny. Because, like, it's a natural... I mean, I know it's short for her real name.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Sunny's mum is beautiful and is obviously Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Continue.
And again, Dan and his partner are just so ridiculously adorable. Oh, you too.
Oh, they were cute. Oh, there was cute factor too.
The only time I've ever seen a couple exercising and gone, oh my god, that's adorable. So, now, as I said, they showed Matt and Maggie hitting the piñata in person.
Yeah.
I saw that. I watched that. I have photos of that. It was hilarious. What wasn't put to air, and I am going to sort of break the fourth wall a little bit, and I'll ask for forgiveness from Nicole later if she goes, don't do that. Matt and Maggie getting on the merry-go-round.
Oh my god, I was so disappointed that wasn't used.
Now,
that's obviously on the bloopers reel.
The highlight of that was watching Maggie Beer try to get on the merry-go-round.
Well, look at what she's wearing.
That was the problem. She was trying to work out how to get over the... She ended up sitting side saddle on the horse and going around. And it was great.
Those fuckers are slippery. Like,
they were.
Oh, there's no traction.
But there's a great photo somewhere of Matt Moran in his full vest and suit on the back of his little ponies going up and down on the... It's one of the greatest things ever. The other great thing...
You should get a tattoo of that.
We should. The other great thing from that day had nothing to do with the bakers from this year, and in fact had everything to do with the baker that's currently on another TV show. I'm going to give her credit because I like giving her credit anyway, but Monica.
Love Mon.
Everyone sort of bakes stuff or brings food and stuff like that for these events.
Monica catered.
Monica brought food, and Monica brought some of the greatest marshmallow I've ever eaten.
Oh my god, she made a lemonade marshmallow.
Yeah, and I was handed the container to hold for a bit while conversations were happening, and I might have told Monica that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And I did eat a lot of it. It was really good.
You were like the Marshmallow Man, except less killy, like it on Ghostbusters.
Bakeoff Grand Finals. Bakeoff Grand Finals are just a lovely, fun day.
Yeah.
They're warm. They're friendly. Everyone is so nice. Maggie Beer is stopped by 1 million people because everyone loves her.
Yeah.
Matt Marine is stopped by people too, by the way. It's not a lot of people hate him, but just...
No.
Maggie will just pause filming to go and hug people for a while because she's Maggie Beer and a national treasure. But no, it is just a lovely day where you can hang out with friends.
And they put out the open call as well, so a lot of fans who love the show got to go, which I think is fantastic. A lot of kids.
Yep.
You know,
there were a lot of kids there.
Sucking down the sugar.
I might
them to bed that night would have been fun.
I might also have left with some bunt tins from the series.
Talk about Chris's trifle bowl.
Okay, so
we got to see it in real life.
When I keep talking again about the fact of I know how big that trifle bowl was, they had oranges stored in it.
Like, it was like a mini orchard. Had just deposited its fruit for the year in it.
That trifle bowl is huge. You could fit a small person in it.
In fact, a toddler. Like, just a little toddler. I think Harper could have maybe got halfway in.
Harper would have stood in it.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, Daddy, why am I a trifle?
To quote Dan, Kristie.
Yes.
Focus, focus, focus.
Okay, I'll focus.
Focus. I love when Dan says focus with his accent because it just sounds like he's saying fuckers.
That's wonderful.
It's great. Like, the show needs more swearing.
Everyone needs to focus.
Now, at this point, everything was going well for David, and David goes, I'm really happy with that, so I'll go and check my cakes in the fridge.
Do you think you could fuck us in the Bakeoff shed? Get it? Does it sound like I'm saying fuck us in the Bakeoff shed? But I'm saying focus in Dan's accent.
You're clever.
I know. Just explaining how I'm funny. Why do I not have my own show?
I don't know. Anyway, David, back to your sad moment.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. back to David's right. Sad moment.
I'll stop the reclining now.
I'll come back. So David is happy. He goes off, and everything's flying for him. He's like, "This is good. I've got this." He opens the fridge, and you just hear, no. And they cut back, and the cake has collapsed, and the top level has just fallen off the cake. Now, I noticed what they did in the edit, and a couple of other people on Twitter pointed it out as well. The first person they shot was Barb standing at the side of the shed. Yeah. And again, it was a very similar thing to Barb 12 months ago when the wall collapsed on her bake in the grand final. And there was like this hush and...
Yeah, it ripples throughout the whole...
And it does. It ripples throughout the venue, and like David's top level came off. And it rippled. Everyone was just like, oh God, oh no. But I did notice they did cut and Barb was in that shot. I thought it was really interesting they did that.
Because, why focus on one bit of trauma that's happening live in the shed when you can rehash trauma as well?
Bring all of it back.
How are you feeling today, Barb?
However, what we did get was some of the finest host work we've ever seen. Claire Hooper, ladies and gentlemen, herself coming back from an illness.
Yeah.
And
she's fresh out of the sick bay.
She's trying to keep David calm. She's talking him through, do you need the top layer? He's like, I really sort of do. He's like, you sure? She's like, yeah, it's a showstopper, I kind of do. I'm going to remake the top. And Claire is the most positive and impressed best friend in the world. Yeah. She just looks at him and she goes, that's why I love you. That's amazing. And he runs over and he grabs the pan. And as he does, Claire looks at the camera and goes, montage music!
And here's the thing, right? Like, it's not a risk. I mean, it's a risk he's taken, but it's not an uncalculated risk. We saw Olivia come back to win.
In the grand final, yeah.
Having just dug deep and had to remaking her sponge.
Yep.
So there's precedent for it.
There is precedent for it. It was really cool that David just went, no, fuck it, this is going to work. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So David did also then add, there shouldn't actually be time enough to do this. It's like not time enough.
No.
Now, I asked you a question at this point, because everyone said, David. I said, would the cheering be, like, helpful to you?
No, throw things at people.
I would do the same thing. I would have lobbed things at everybody.
And he had spare cake sitting there. He could just have...
Flung one. Look, I'm already making one new one. In for a penny. Now, while they were doing this, Matt was outside making Maggie a burger, which was just the most adorable thing ever.
How good is that, though? Like, your best mate is, like, one of Australia's top chefs, and he just whips you up a burger.
Here you go, Maggie, have a burger.
Yeah.
And then they cut back again, and they're all building the rest of the last part of their illusions, and it was really cool.
Use their illusion.
Dan's looked really cool. The way that he'd done the outside of it looked really nice.
Oh, it did look like a little, like magical fort.
It did, with the crown on top of it. And Sunny as well, with her stairs going in all the different directions. Which
It's like a unicorn stairway.
It was. And then at that point they went, and time...
It reminded me of the babe.
David managed to get...
power.
David did manage to get most of it done, but didn't get to do all the sides covered over. But he got the cake done and got the design done in general. Now, before we get to the judgment...
from my opinion...
Yeah.
I honestly think he didn't need that extra layer.
No, I don't think he did either. I think he could have got away with just having the smaller ones.
Yeah. So, but either way, top effort by everyone in the shed.
So, I'm going to do something unusual.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I'm going to do the ad read.
But I had Deirdre all the way from the UK lined up. I played her in creme de menthe and everything.
How's Deirdre's voice holding up with all the smoke?
She's just going to sit back and recline and sip some creme de menthe.
Good. As we've asked you a number of times this series, are you looking for a quality magazine focused on cake decorating and sugar art?
Yes.
We know you all are. We know. We've heard you. We've heard you screaming from the rooftops. If only there was a place that I could find cake decoration and sugar art in a magazine format. And guess what?
I agree wholeheartedly. We don't have that in the north of England.
Deirdre?
What?
Sip the creme de menthe.
All right.
Australian Sugarcraft is the magazine for you. It's full colour digital. It's got step-by-step tutorials. There are recipes. There are tips. There are ideas. Subscription is an annual cost of only $19.90 Australian.
Only $19.90? Why, that's just £1 in the UK.
Stop bragging about your exchange rate, Deirdre.
Oh, look, we've got Brexit to come.
Exactly.
Right.
Wait for that. You receive two issues.
Subscribe now.
You receive 2 issues per year, of course, for that as well. Go to facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft for more information. And a big thank you to Australian Sugarcraft for sponsoring this series.
Yes.
It's been fantastic. Always good to have Australian Sugarcraft on board. And again, it's a great magazine. We highly recommend it. Go out, check it out. Have a look. Use it. You might be able to use it to get on Bakeoff next year.
And I just want to thank all the special guests that came on to help promote this amazing magazine. The Wicker Lamb.
You did an amazing job.
Just so many awesome...
As segment producer for that, you did an amazing job.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Some of your greatest work. So the judging. Sunny, they said the feel was good, the raspberry was delightful, the balance with the white chocolate was perfect. The only criticism they had was Maggie Beer said the cacao nibs were actually a distraction and that you didn't need them.
But didn't they perk everyone up?
Wow. Yeah, got them all through a long day. So Dan hit the design brief perfectly. Maggie was absolutely joyous about the fact that he balanced up the cinnamon.
Yeah.
And later on when he took his cake outside, Don's first question was, no cinnamon in that? And he looked and goes, actually, yes there was. The apple flavour came through well. They said the apple and the cinnamon were balanced really nicely. They said it was a bit rustic in terms of the look, but it was very rich, but really nice.
Yeah.
David's. Now, Matt said it looked like an F1 trophy that was unfinished. It sort of did, a little bit like a checker flag.
Yeah.
The cake was actually super soft, and when they bit into the cake, they both just looked like they'd eaten something that was just magnificent.
Yeah.
They said it was absolutely stunning. The blend of the flavours was perfect. The caramel had a lovely flavour. Everything meshed perfectly. It was just that presentation.
Yeah, and it's just the luck in the shed, and I think we all lost out when that cake slid.
We did.
So, evil fridge gremlins.
So we then cut back out to the evening for the announcement.
Yes, we had the nice cut scene there with heaters being turned on and balloons popped up and happy to see us.
So they did the announcement, and they announced the winner of the Great Australian Bakeoff. No 2018 in there because, that would be wrong. And the winner is Sunny. And
well deserved.
Well
She's
deserved.
had 3-star bakers, 3 technical wins.
4-star bakers.
4-star bakers.
4 technical wins, sorry. 3-star bakers, 4 technicals, you're right.
Yep.
So, I mean, technically she won this, so technically 4.
Yeah. Like, she's every single... I wouldn't have been disappointed with any one of those 3 winning. Like, they're all just fantastic bakers. And
No.
it's just that, when it comes down to that final bake...
And as... And
it's make or bake.
Well done. And as Matt Moran did say, and he said this on the outro tonight, he talked about it, and he went, well...
Or bake or break. Yes, sorry.
As Matt Moran said on the outro, he says, look, to be honest with you, David had it until the last bake.
Yep.
And, yeah, I feel so bad for... I feel so bad for...
feel sorry for David right now. Like, it's already kind of probably very difficult to watch. And
then he sees the Matt Moran thing.
I know what it's like when you are coming second in a competition and...
Who's Tom Carroll?
Exactly, it's still very tender. And it's very raw, and I think that if, Scott McRae gotten up there and said, Kristie had it in the bag if it wasn't just for that Tom Carroll, like, that's a bit of salt in the wound there. But a testament to Dave as well for his skill and efforts.
Then we also got something which not every Bakeoff version does. British does it, and Australian does it.
Where's the ending, Canada?
We got the epilogue.
Which is fucking brilliant.
The epilogue is something that is absolutely spectacular. I apologise humbly for the coughing at the end here, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
The smoke is really bad. So the ending was brilliant. The epilogue is great because you get to see what they've been up to. And let's face it, there's been a bit of time. You could have conceived and had a whole child in the period of time since this show was filmed.
Yep.
Like, easily could have done that. You could have had complete reconstructive surgery. You could have...
things that have happened since that Bake-Off show was filmed and then put to air. We had the ending of Game of Thrones. We had the ending of the Avengers cycle.
Malcolm Turnbull was Prime Minister.
We've had
the two
Prime Ministers. We've had like the Me Too movement. We've had
the number of Trump's cabinet that have gone is amazing.
Yeah, we're actually up to the impeachment of Trump, not just like going, I can't wait till he's impeached. We now are at that point.
So there was a long period of time. The Bakers have done amazingly well, especially since it was that long ago. We really sort of dip our caps to everybody involved.
And to the audience. Like, we've all been waiting, and your patience and still, like, keeping up with your support of the show despite the long wait.
And one of the things that we did mention to Nicole before we had her on the podcast the other week was the fact that we consistently were getting asked by everybody, when's it back? When's it back? When's it back? And the audience, not once did the audience go, oh, well, it's never coming back. The audience has kept on going, when's it back? When's it back? When's it back? When's it back? And that is dedication, and that is love for a show.
Yeah.
And this is a show that has been taken care of so beautifully.
Yeah.
And, it's one of the best curated shows. And
again, on the day, as we're there, you have this crew that is just effortlessly working around the chaos of people and hyped up children and dogs.
They glide around. They've got the ridiculous steady cam packs on their backs. So they've got the camera, they've got the massive cranes all attached to it, and they just move around so effortlessly. It's incredible to watch. It is a very well-oiled and well-run machine, but it's a machine with an absolute heart of gold.
Yep.
And that's from the top down, and we're talking about Nicole, obviously, David Bregel-Jones, her co-executive producer.
The director, Brian.
And then the whole way down, all of the Foxtel producers, everyone on that cast, everyone on that crew, they do such an incredible job on that show. Mm-hmm. And, and I said, we've always said on the podcast that we praise when it needs praising. We criticise when it needs criticising, because we do it out of a position of love and respect for the show.
But the thing is, we've had barely any criticisms of this season.
We've had
a few.
We've had a couple.
Yeah.
But, again, it comes down to the fact that, if we're criticising something, it's because we know how good the show can be.
Yeah.
And we want it to be better. But most of the time they get it right, and that's to their absolute credit.
Yep.
So we want to thank everyone involved at Bakeoff. I want to send a special thank you as well to Foxtel, Brooke Cashel in particular, for allowing us to talk to all the bakers.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
been
fantastic.
Really generous.
Everyone who listens, thank you so much for listening. It's an absolute joy to get to do this. And by the way, we're in wrapping this episode up, we're not done yet. We've got a fair bit to come.
Yeah. We're not ready to let go.
Which I'll get to in a second.
We're like the stage 5 clinger girlfriend.
Yeah.
Boyfriend. But less AVOs now.
A lot less. To the bakers, thank you for being so generous with your time.
Yeah.
And always being so willing to engage. That makes the show what it is, makes the audience sort of enjoy the show a lot more too. So thank you to those bakers that we've spoken to already and the bakers that are coming on, because one of the reasons we're not done yet, we've got a very long list of bakers coming on the podcast in the next few weeks. So if you're going, why didn't they talk to insert baker's name here? It's probably happening in the very near future.
Yeah, just timing-wise, a few things were going on, and so...
But now we've got a bit more timing, and we can make all this work, so we're going to make it work. Also, we need to hype up the fact that coming up very soon, before Christmas, the Virgies.
Oh, yes, the Night of Nights.
The Night of Nights, the first ever international event.
I think you'll find it's called International.
No, I read it there. It's international.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got the wrong memo.
Oh,
that was a typo.
Oh, International.
Yeah, that's the other one. So it's the Canadians and the Australians together in the same place. Who knows what will happen? Chaos, probably.
A lot of singing, a lot of drinking.
So we will be confirming those dates for everyone very shortly, because we know there are people that want to fly over with us to Hawaii and book and watch the show live and meet all these bakers, because they'll be there. They'll be there for the Night of Nights.
Yeah, get some C's in these B's.
I've heard a whisper that there's a Hall of Fame. So obviously there is already one person in there, Maggie Beer.
Yeah. Who else will join her?
Who will join her in the Hall of Fame? We'll find that out.
We'll find out who's baking in the Hall of Fame.
I'd sing along, but my throat can't do it. So
I was hoping you'd pick it up, because I'm about to cough up a lung.
Exactly. So we're about to wrap this up. Also, before I wrap this up, and we will be back to talk to other bakers in the next couple of weeks, obviously. But another big thank you again to the talent of this podcast. Kristie is clearly the talent of this podcast.
Hello. Okay, thank you. All right.
Well, you book the talent, literally.
I will accept that compliment, but I will also return by saying that you are the machine of this podcast. You are the if I am the guilt around the box, you are the gears that grind underneath. All right, that might be a bit too visual there, but
always grinding.
I'm very flighty and not very focused. I don't focus very well, but you're very focused, you're very dedicated, you're very good at making sure there's notes, even when I try and lock you in a cupboard and not let you out.
No, I haven't forgiven you for that.
I will make up for it by focusing. Oh no, that sounded so wrong, but I'm just going to say thank you for everything that you do and all the efforts that you put in, and for coordinating all of our interviews and stuff. And our socials. Good. You tweeting. Bitches be tweeting. Gramming.
Bitches be tweeting, bitches be gramming.
Just,
You be Facebooking though, so...
I'm an FB.
You're an FB.
I put up random shit.
And now it's time for us to go.
Yes.
So, this has been the grand final of the Great Australian Bake-Off. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for getting through, with us on our coughing adventures. Because, man, this smoke is horrible.
As we mentioned last night, podcast with 100% more coughing.
Yes, so please, if you haven't listened to it last night as well, we did a great interview with Laura and Z. Please have a listen to that. It was an absolutely hilarious conversation.
Yes.
There's a bit of a theme developing all the way through the show. See if you can spot it.
I apologise.
See if you can spot the theme. But until we are back with another interview, which might be a lot sooner than all of you think, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Do, do, do.